Peoples, what's going on? It's your boy Finesse, and I'm back. Yes, sir, I am back making videos. I had a great 4th of July weekend. Hopefully, you had a great 4th of July weekend too. I had friends, I had some family come down. We just had a great time out here at Tybee Island. Is one of the beaches that are one of the beaches that's close to our area, so it's about 45 minutes away. But yeah, had a great time. But I'm ready to get back in the saddle here, so to speak, and get these videos cranking out to you guys. So if you are new to the channel, I appreciate you checking me out. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and leave a comment. I read all the comments that happen to pop up in the videos, so don't think you're gonna go unheard. Like I said, it probably takes me a day or two to get back to you, but no matter what, I will respond. All right. For all of those that have been with the channel, hey man, I appreciate you coming back. It's always good to have friends in the house. All right, so what we're going to be doing today is doing a review on the 2022 Indian Super Chief Limited that Miss Finesse picked up a while back. Unfortunately, she hasn't really had too many opportunities to ride it. One was because of weather. Two is because of work. That's a busy lady. But no matter what, we're gonna go over some things, because when we got the bike, we knew that there was gonna have to be some mods, because on a good day she's about 5'2", and you know, some of the controls and things were kind of hard to reach, so to speak. So what I did is one, we got this extension for the shifter so that it'll bring it out a little bit, because the air cleaner, when she puts her leg down, you know, she has to kick her foot in order to hit the peg. So in order to alleviate that, we got the extension so she get her foot up under there. Also, well, on top really. Also, we got the heel shifter, right? Because that'll make it easy for her to, you know, shift up and then shift down. So you don't have to worry about getting your foot up under it and all that stuff, because it's already kind of difficult to reach. But it's easier to reach on top than it is on the bottom. You know, however that may be. But I guess she got one of them weird feet where it only goes up or down. I don't know. Anyway, after that, oh well. Okay, so look, I did not do install videos on these simply because they were simple. They're real easy to do, and I figured I'd just give you the overview once it's done, because I did all these mods in one day. So like I said, man, it wasn't nothing difficult. It was real easy. So let's get back in it. All right, so for this, all it was is just this one screw back here, and the instructions call for you to, you know, disassemble this or take all of this off the floorboard, and you know, disconnect the linkage. So I did disconnect the linkage. However, I did not take the floorboard off, because my tools were short enough and I had enough room in here in order to get that in there and get it torqued down to where it needed to be. So it everything's good. The linkage is back connected and we're off and rolling. So also we got the crash bars, and the crash bars is simple. They have some holes for the bolts already on the bike. So there's one up here and one down there. You put them on and pop the bolts on and you torque them down to specs. See what I'm saying? Super simple. Or so I thought. So we ended up going with the mini apes, right? Because she got the short arms, so she can pull it back a bit so she can reach it. And when I got this, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, man, look at that. There's smooth transitions. There's nothing sharp. I was like, this is going to be a 15-minute install. Plus, on top of that, when you get those bars, you have to get the extended wires for that. So I was thinking to myself, man, I'll get it pre-wired. I'll have everything set up. I'll take the old ones off, pop the grip on, pop the new ones on. But as I got into it, so I'm taking the old bars off, and the wiring goes all the way down around through here. There's some routing that goes on, and then it ends probably about right here under the tank, right? So that meant I had to pull the tank back. So unbolt the tank, move it back, find that bundle of wires because it's wrapped up in a bundle that's kind of grommeted to the frame of the bike. Undo that, take out the two, I think it was like 2 or 3 clips maybe, 2 or 3 clips, and then it all comes out pretty simple. So easy enough, okay. All right, and then now when I'm putting it back together, because I've got all the new wires, right? I got the new clutch line. Okay, that's a simple route, goes right down there. And then you just loosen these 2 nuts off and you can back the old one out and then you put the new one on. I mean, it's pretty simple, pretty cut and dry. And then you adjust it there. So once I had that done, then it was time to move over to the right side. The right side has the brake. And for whatever reason, I don't know why I didn't think about this when we were getting it, but I forgot about having to bleed the brakes, right? Because we're changing that brake line, right? So for the reservoir, I kept it in a position to where it wouldn't leak, essentially, right? So once I took it off, I kept it upside down until I got this back connected again, and then I, flipped it over, put it on, all right? So once I did that, you got to route this wire all the way down through here, and it is not easy, man. And then you got to get in here to this little itty bitty area right here to where you have to connect that to this little junction box, so to speak. I don't know what it's called, but it's like a junction box that links it up to the front end of the motorcycle, right, for the front brakes. So I think that process alone probably took me, I don't know, 30, 45 minutes just to get it, because it's such a tight area, and trying to get the washer, the connection and everything else, getting it tight and in the right orientation. Because I got it on there like 15, 20 minutes in, but it was the wrong way. So I had to take it out and flip it over. And like I said, it was a long drawn out process, but I got that done. All right. So after that, I had to bleed the brakes. So of course I go to YouTube to figure out how to bleed the brakes on an Indian motorcycle. I mean, it's bleeding brakes. It's not, So I get on the internet to figure out how to bleed the brakes, and I searched specifically for Indian just to make sure that, I didn't miss anything. I think what I searched for was bleed Indian brakes. I think is all I put in there. And an Indian video did come up about bleeding the brakes. And so the limited models do have the ABS. However, when I was following the steps, they said there was something extra you had to do for the ABS. I'm not sure what that was, but I didn't have to do it anyways because the brakes ended up doing just fine. So, and I haven't had any errors or any codes or anything thrown on the bike either, so we're good on that end. But essentially, what I did is I went to AutoZone and picked up a brake bleed kit, and it came with a little bitty bottle, probably about that big, about 3 inches, 4 inches tall, and it had a little magnet on the other end. So I attached it to the brake disc, and then connected the hose that came with it to this little nozzle right here that comes off, and then you've got like a nut on there. All right. So once I had that done, and I got some Indian brake fluid, I filled up the reservoir up to about halfway, and then after that you pump, right? And you pump, and you pump, right? And then after you get it, you pump it a while, you hold it all the way down, right? And then with your other hand, you got to get down there, and you're gonna open this valve to let the air out. I'm gonna put this cover back on it. All right, so in the process of bleeding the brakes, I think I was doing it wrong for a while, right? Because I would pump. I'd hold it. I'd loosen up that nut down there by the brakes, and you just see like a little bubble just slowly creep up. So in my head, I'm thinking, yes, progress, right? So I think at that time I might have been opening the valve maybe like a quarter, maybe not even a quarter, just like barely opening it up, right? And you'd see the bubbles moving. And I think I did that for about, I don't know, 30, 45 minutes. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, man, this is going nowhere, right? So I'm rewatching the video. I think I watched that video like 10, 15 times. And I'm not missing any steps, but I'm like, what is going on, right? So what I did was I was thinking, I was like, well, maybe I'm not opening it enough, right? So then I started opening the valve down on the brake. I opened it about a half turn, right? Because basically you don't want to open it all the way up because then the fluid just pours out of it, you know. And brake fluid is some nasty stuff. If you've never dealt with brake fluid is some nasty stuff. It's going to eat your paint and everything else. And I didn't have time to go through that. And plus, you know, I didn't need to get any more brake fluid. So I opened it up about halfway, and then I'm starting to pump it, and immediately I started feeling resistance. I was like, yes. So I did that for maybe another, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes. And the brakes, man, look, these brakes, right? You start feeling brake like right here, right? But you still have room to squeeze it, obviously. But I'm just saying you can feel it. So it's right back to stock. So no issues with that. And like I said, this is the ABS model, and I didn't have any issues with any codes or anything.
Well, that's pretty.
Hey, thank you. That's my wife's bike. Yeah. Huh?
It ride real good?
Yeah, it rides pretty good, man. I have a Challenger though. Yeah, the bigger like baggers.
I've heard a lot of good stuff about it.
Yeah, man. Hey, these are nice, man. These are nice. Yeah, thank you.
Good day.
All right, you too, man. Yeah, like I said, man, I did this all in one shot. It took a little bit. The only real issue I had that I had to go to the dealership to buy a new part for was the left-hand grip. So this left-hand grip, they put on there like so here's the deal, man. These grips are not cheap. Holy cow. And this is just the stock factory grip. That thing was not cheap at all. Oh my goodness. Okay, I don't want to lay on it too much, but just know there was a struggle, all right? But anyways, in the process of trying to get that off, I don't know what kind of glue Indian uses, but that has got to be some of the strongest glue in the world. Like, I mean, you got to be able, like, you could probably build a building nothing but glue. You know what I'm saying? Because I wrapped a towel around it. I sprayed WD-40 in it because I was looking at some of the other chatter on some forums on how people got them off. I mean, I smacked it with a hammer a few times. I was just like, what is going on? So eventually I ended up just tearing it up, right? So I had to get another one. But other than that, I had zero issues with these installs. And I think the bike looks great with it. It's a good looking bike, man. And I'm not even necessarily a fan of chrome, which is why I chose the Dark Horse. But look at that, man. It's a little overcast right now because we're dealing with all this weather. But the chrome, that engine looks fantastic, man. That engine looks good on there. Woo! Yes, indeed. So, on one of my previous videos, I did a review of the Super Chief, the regular Super Chief, not the limited, and it has the 111 motor, and this has the 116. I'm here to tell you, man, that 116, oh man, that's a good motor. It's a good motor, and I said it when we first got it, but the little time that I had in sport mode turned this bike into something completely different, man. You forget what you're riding because you're having so much fun. And then by being such a small bike, because I mean this is smaller than a Chieftain, right? But it's the same size motor. It being a small bike, you can just throw it around. You know, you can get around the corners. You can't throw it around too much because the lean angle is going to get you, right? So these are known not to have very great lean angles, but that's for the, you know, it's not a sport bike, right? It's a touring, it's a small touring bike, and that's not what they're made for. But what they are made for, like I said, is the touring part, which it is really good at. I think the seating position is comfortable. I think the ride is comfortable. Now, don't get me wrong, the ride is a bit stiff, but it's more like if you put lowering springs on a Honda Civic type stiff. Not stiff to where it's like jarring your body apart, but you feel it makes you want to ride sporty. So yeah. Other than that, man, I don't think that there's any other plans we really have as far as any mods. So I am probably going to try and talk Miss Finesse into getting a reduced reach seat to help. Like I said, she's 5'2", and I think the reduced reach seat will help out a lot. Because, your inner thighs are really close to this point right here. But we do have some hot pockets that I ordered from Indian to cover that up, so it's not such an issue. But I still think she'd benefit from the reduced reach seat, which, we'll probably do later. And then if the floorboards don't work out, because at first she was kind of apprehensive about the floorboards, if those don't work out, we'll probably look at getting the mid controls, the pegs. So, but personally, I think she'd be better off with the floorboards. Because if we end up going down to Florida, it's going to be way more comfortable than having your feet stuck on these pegs, So, and then just as overall, I think it's a really good bike. I like the bike. I like the style of the bike. There's the only problem that I have with this bike, and it was the same thing with the 111, is the exhaust position. So this being a smaller bike, 9 times out of 10, you're going to have smaller riders on this bike. And those smaller riders are going to be burning their legs on this exhaust. Because when you put your foot down, you figure your foot comes down right here if you're sitting at a stop. That thing sticks out far enough to where it's going to, if you're not careful, like you have to be paying attention to not burn your leg. So for me, not such a big issue, right? Because the way I drive, when I come to a stop initially, my foot's on the brake, and I'm assuming everybody else is too. But my foot's on the brake, and I don't necessarily put my foot down unless I'm stopped for an extended period of time, like by myself at a stoplight, waiting for the thing to register that I'm on it. But when you put your foot down, man, oh my goodness. That it will definitely remind you, right? So I think personally, because they have this gap, right? There's a gap in between this. They could have brought this down and moved it in a bit, right? Because if you're looking at the exhaust is not this big. That's just the heat shield. The exhaust is way thinner than that, and there's room for it to be down and tucked under, which I think would have been way better. One, aesthetically, and two, so you don't burn yourself. And then this area right here, they could have, instead of it just being a blank, they could have put maybe like a Super Chief logo on it or something, or a, limited, maybe put a limited on there, anything. And I think that would have cleaned up that area, as well as gave you a visual piece to look at as well. So it'd still be a beautiful engine, but you just won't be burning yourself. So now I am looking into the aftermarket to see if there are any solutions for that. I want to say there was a 2 and a 1 I saw, but I can't remember if it was for this or the Scout. So we'll have to look into that. But anything to get that from there to somewhere else, anywhere to get that from there to somewhere else is going to be great. I think that's probably the worst part about the bike. The best part about the bike has got to be this display. That ride command display is amazing. It is amazing. I think initially, the startup might be, a tad bit slow. But once you get it up, man, like the visuals and the information, all the information and tech that's packed into this little display, to me is pretty amazing. You got your ride modes, you got your Bluetooth controls for your music. You can make phone calls, receive the phone calls. It's got everything but the Apple CarPlay, right? And how crazy would it be if they could fit Apple CarPlay in there? Oh man, that'd be really wild. But so also there's a USB port down here. Now I don't know how functional that's going to be. Like say if you end up hitting some weather, but I mean, you know, for the most part, I don't think you're gonna. No, yeah. So you hit some weather. I'd be curious to know if anybody else out there has one. If you ever had any issues with the weather and that port being right there. Where else could you put it? No clue. I have no clue where you could put that port. That would not be, unless you could put it somewhere in the saddlebag. Now that'd be cool because you don't necessarily need your phone in your hands because you know you can control everything from the dash. So if they actually had a USB port in the saddlebag, which I may take that off and route it in there. That might be something that I do. I'll see what Miss Finesse thinks about it, and we'll go from there. All right, I got an email from Indian about the summer cookout. All right, so if you're gonna be in the Savannah area between the hours of 11 and 1, I will be at Savannah Motorsports, man. I would love to talk to you guys. I would love to see your bikes, and we could just sit and we could have a good time, man. So we don't have an IMRG here in Savannah. For whatever the reason may be, right? We don't have one. But to have a spot to where we could just come together and as Indian riders in a group and sit down and talk Indian, oh man, come on, you don't want to miss this opportunity. So like I said, man, if you guys are out there between 11 and 1, Savannah Motorsport, come check your boy out, man. All right, y'all, look, back at the garage, got the Super Chief here. We got the Challenger right here. Today was just a quick video. One, letting you know I'm back and giving you some of the things that we did to the Super Chief, and then maybe some things that we're going to do in the future. But anyway, man, I really appreciate you guys' support. Thanks for watching the videos. Hit me up in them comments, and we'll catch you on the next one, y'all. Ride every day, and most importantly, make sure you're enjoying it. All right, y'all. Peace.